Our industry is moving faster than ever. Where are freight volumes headed? How will this affect capacity? And of course, what's the newest technology that can benefit your business? Those questions and many more will be answered at the industry's hottest Freight Tech Conference this November in Chicago. Come join us at FreightWaves Live November 12th and 13th at the McCormick Center. Visit FreightWavesLive.com to register.
Welcome to your Monday edition of FreightWaves Now. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Really exciting stuff today from Zach Strickland in regards to what's happened on the brokerage side. But first off, here's Nick Austin with your weather update.
Welcome to FreightWaves Weather, your Monday edition. Hope you had a great weekend and a safe weekend out there. The weather's going to be really quiet to start off the week. That's good news as we check out the critical events in sonar. We see most of the assets are in green, and that means very low risk for weather disruptions, at least for today. That's going to change for some areas as we go through the week. But for today, the one problem area is going to be in parts of the northern Rockies. We're talking about southern Montana and into northern portions of Wyoming. So a pretty small section of the country, but this is where there's probably going to be the most weather problems today, especially in some of the higher elevation roads. But there's actually a winter weather advisory for portions of southern Montana, including the area of Red Lodge, some of the high elevations in the mountains here, and then a little less snowfall as they head into Wyoming. But for the areas in the winter weather advisory here, could see up to about 6 inches of snowfall, some slushy and icy roads kind of mixing in there as well. And some of the lower peaks in southern Montana and towards Cody, Wyoming could see maybe anywhere from 1 to about 4 inches of snow. So again, not a big deal. Maybe some minor delays and slowdowns for drivers that have to head through this area or have to go around that storm. But that's going to be the one big problem area as far as actual precipitation today. There will be some scattered showers and storms across parts of Florida and the southeast coast, but they should not be severe storms, and we're not expecting any flash flooding there. But more of a health issue rather than disruptions up in parts of the Pacific Northwest. Talking about eastern Washington, including Spokane, northern parts of Idaho, including Coeur d'Alene, and along the I-5 corridor in Oregon, we're talking about really bad air quality, pollutants trapped in the lower atmosphere. And for drivers, for dock workers out there, shippers, anyone working at ports, that's going to be a problem if you have asthma or any kind of respiratory conditions. You don't want to spend a lot of time outdoors if you don't have to. I know that's tough because some of those jobs are outdoors, but particularly for drivers through this area, if you have respiratory problems, breathing problems, just take your breaks indoors. Don't spend a lot of time outside, and just be extra careful because that really bad air quality just can make it harder for you to breathe if you already have a respiratory problem. So again, that's for eastern Washington into Idaho and then along the I-5 corridor in Oregon. That's what you need to know about your weather for today. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get our weather videos and all of our other FreightWaves videos. Have a great day and be careful out there.
Welcome to your Monday edition of the Carrier Update, sponsored by Powerfleet. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Thanks so much for joining me again today. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Let's take a look at a head haul map for the entirety of the USA and get a picture of what's going on across the country as we enter into this week. Now, if you're a first-time viewer, I'm sure you're concerned with what is a head haul map. So head haul is your outbound tender volume index minus inbound tender volume. So that gives you a picture of who's in control in the market, whether that's going to be the carriers with the assets or the brokers and shippers with the freight. So the darker the blue, the more power you have as a carrier. The darker the red, the more power they have over you. So let's take a look and see what's going on across the country. LA and Ontario always keeping it strong out there in regards to outbound volumes. Right next to it, Phoenix, low. A lot of inbound capacity, a lot of competition, making our way across the country. Salt Lake looks good. We'll talk about that in just a second. Memphis, as always. Down here, Savannah, right here, near Raleigh, dark red, so volume's turning way down, but Elizabeth, New Jersey right there, looking pretty bright blue. As we move over, let's talk about Elizabeth, New Jersey. Blue Mountain here, outbound tender rejects, 4.03. Good move up back to where it is about the moving average, around 4.3% here. If we see it keep rolling up, that's going to be more favorable favorability to you, the carrier. In regards to outbound volume, elevated above inbound, so that's a good sign as well. Let's take it over to Salt Lake City, 8.15 on the outbound rejection, so that's almost 1 out of every 10 contracted tenders being rejected. As it sits now, way up from August, sitting pretty stable here at 8.15, so I'd love to see that move up a little more. In regards to volume, Salt Lake's got a higher amount of outbound versus inbound. Good news. Taking it down to Los Angeles now, we can see that the Ontario and the Los Angeles markets track each other basically in perfect synchronicity. We can see Blue Mountain here, that's going to be Ontario, yellow line LAX. Last week, big jumps up above 5.5%, back down to 3.32. Looks good in terms of LA. In terms of the national outbounds, not that great. But as always, make sure you watch your carrier update every single day.
Hey everyone, and welcome to your Monday broker update. Behind me, I have the chart of the most volatile markets in the country right now in terms of tender rejections. So if you look right here, strong increases. A lot of these markets, however, are with the Detroit and the auto manufacturing markets, Saginaw, Detroit, a few of them around Grand Rapids down here, going to be a little bit more intense because the auto parts manufacturers are starting to ramp back up. They're starting to produce a lot more volume as GM tries to recover a lot of lost production. Now, out in here, we're going to have a few markets like the Eau Claire market, which is up in Wisconsin area. So what's interesting about the Eau Claire market is that we are starting to really trend upward on the tender rejections. So a lot of these are long haul rejection rates, as you see in the orange line right here. That means that you're gonna have a lot of freight going over 800 miles out of the Eau Claire market. The trend line too is also for increasing rejection rates. So capacity here has been a lot more constrained of late, especially over the last month of October and September. So brokers really need to pay attention to this because that means that they're going to need to find carriers that are willing to go into this market to cover it. Up next, we have St. Louis. Now, St. Louis, not quite as volatile as the Eau Claire market. Mid-haul rejection rates coming up out of St. Louis. These are going to be your 251 to 500 or 450 mile loads coming out of St. Louis. A lot more regional market in St. Louis, so make sure that all your regional loads are covered out of there because we are seeing a lot of high spikes coming out of St. Louis. Last but not least, let's start with the Detroit market and pick up here. You see tender rejection rates spiking along with volume, so make sure that this market is covered today, especially if you deal with a lot of auto parts manufacturers. And that will do it for the Monday brokerage update. Have a great day.
Well, that'll do it for today's update. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And as always, follow us on all of our social media channels, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, and we'll see you again tomorrow.